think we're going to amend the work session agenda today, and we're going to add on a third item. And the third item, if I could ask Councilor Howard to come on up, and there seems to be some confusion and some misstated facts out there from some people regarding the resolution we adopted off the floor at Tuesday night's work session.
Yes, so on Tuesday night, the town board meeting, resolution was called off the floor to approve a pre-possession agreement with Joe Petroselli, who's been designated the master developer for the Town Square project and the redevelopment of 127 East Main Street. What I've seen is that it was characterized as authorizing the demolition. First of all, that is misleading. The resolution itself doesn't authorize demolition of the structure. That's accomplished through a demolition permit that's submitted to the building department and processed, consistent with their policies and procedures. So when and if that occurs, that will follow the normal process. The pre-possession agreement specifically was referenced in the master developer agreement, which, as you all know, was posted online in July of this year prior to the qualified and eligible hearing on July 22nd. It references, there's a definition, there's a lease. It says that, note, the town shall, at the request of the master developer, enter into a lease and pre-possession agreement to permit construction activities on the hotel project property to commence, subject to the fee provisions and to meet cost schedule, et cetera, et cetera. So the definitions clearly contemplate this pre-possession agreement. Then later on, under terms of transfer of the hotel project property, there's a paragraph that also references pre-closing possession agreement with the master developer. And then again at Article 4, or it's 5.04. There's a reference to a construction lease pre-possession agreement with annual fee terms in an amount not less than the cost of the annual payment due for the repayment of the bond of principal and interest related to the purchase and or demolition of 117, 121, and 127. So all of that was previously contemplated by the town board. It was part of the qualified and eligible hearing. So there was nothing that was done sort of behind the scenes or anything. This is something that was, first of all, it was entirely legal, and any suggestion to the contrary is false and factually inaccurate and legally inaccurate. The qualified and eligible hearing occurred. The town board duly considered the master developer agreement. My office then set about, at the request of the master developer, doing the pre-possession and lease agreement. This is really a procedural step in the overall redevelopment. I just wanted to get that out there because it seems like it's being characterized as something else, and it's not. It's frankly the proper procedure, and there is no law that prevents the town board from taking a resolution off the floor. You're a legislative body, you're fully capable of doing that. And the timing is, the lease agreement was completed by Ms. Prudenti, in a timely manner, and we wanted to get it in front of the town board, and we recommended that it be pulled off the floor rather than waiting another 2.5, 3 weeks for the resolution to go forward.
It's just, and I've said this numerous times before, it's such a disservice when somebody comes up to that microphone or writes to one of the local media outlets and they say things that aren't true. And it's just a disservice to all the residents because all it does is confuse people. And just be truthful in what you say and how you if you're against the project, so be it. That's fine. You have every right to do that. But I disagree with the fact that you then come up to a microphone or you try to get some airtime or press time and you say things that just aren't true. And that to me is very disappointing in some of the people that do that.
Well, and I'm going to take particular exception to any suggestion that my office would recommend to the town board anything that's illegal or improper. We go over all of these things very carefully. We analyze the general municipal law, any other applicable New York state laws, our own town code. My office will not recommend to the town board that they do anything illegal. And I think in the past we've we've had conversations about things you can't do because we think they're illegal. So, I really take exception to that kind of suggestion. And then just one other thing, because it did come up, and I just want to make sure that the board is clear on this. The properties down at the town square in 127 are not parkland. They were never contemplated as parkland. When the town board adopted Resolution 399 in 2020, there was a paragraph in there that specifically states that the purchase is for the creation of public gathering space with pedestrian connectivity and vistas from Main Street to Peconic River, together with encouragement and pursuit of private financing, public and private partnerships, federal and state and local funding, subsidies, and capital grants to design and construct commercial and retail uses compatible with the public space, all consistent with the urban renewal policies and goals recited above. And the resolution, if you read back into it, it details in very comprehensive fashion all of the studies and all of the work that the town has put into analyzing the redevelopment of downtown. So the space down there was never going to be dedicated parkland. It was never going to be dedicated parkland, whether you do that formally or informally.
We said 4.5 years ago when we were purchasing the 3 properties, we made certain that they would be just municipal properties, because we spoke right then was the initial plan. The reason we purchased that was to redevelop them, and we would never want to face an alienation of parkland project where we'd have to go before the state to request permission on how to utilize it.
Correct.
So, the majority of the land in which we own as a municipality is not parkland, the building that we're sitting in right now, and that allows us to develop things and change things. So that was right from day one. That was, was our very intention that we were purchasing this property to eventually to transfer title for development so that it would achieve positive revenue for the taxpayers and revitalize downtown.
Right. And, we proceeded with the demolition of 117 and 121 a little faster. The demolition of 127 was always contemplated. This has been in the public realm for about at least 5 years.
Very initial plan.
So I really, I take exception.
The owners of the establishment that was in there.
Right. And so I will also take exception to the notion that this was done as some kind of surprise. You guys have all been, or you as a town board, have all been very clear about the intention of redeveloping those spaces.
Absolutely.
It was all laid out in the master development agreement. All of this, as you just said, Eric, is laid out and talked about, the pre-possession agreement, all of that. So to say that this is something new or something different is disingenuous to the public.
Disingenuous, or people not doing their homework.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, look, it's not even, it is a little bit of homework, but I mean, I would struggle to find a way that the 5 of you could have better publicized this. We've been talking about it at least twice a month, 3 times a month for the better part of 5 years. There is nothing in here that was done sort of behind the scenes or in a manner that's inconsistent with the law.
Well, that's what happens when you have a title of the article that says surprise, where you have people that are only reading the headlines and not actually reading the article. This is no surprise to anybody, and that was unfortunate that it was written like that.
Correct.
I would also say, when you go downtown and you sit in the different restaurants, and there are still some that are struggling, time is of the essence to them, to the current people that are operating businesses downtown. They have been asking for this activation space, and we have been telling them we're building it for 4.5 years. So it would be disingenuous to say to them, well, we'll just wait till the next meeting. They want this to move ahead as soon as possible so that we can start filling the seats in restaurants downtown. So it is our job to make adjustments on the schedule, to bring things off the floor, to keep this project moving forward.
Correct. And so really this, what came off the floor on Tuesday night is really sort of a procedural step in furtherance of what the board already considered and approved. If there hadn't been reference to the pre-possession agreement in the master development agreement, and it was a completely new aspect of it, that could be considered an amendment to the master developer agreement, which I think then would merit the town board considering opening that up for further discussion. But the fact of the matter is it was in there, and that was articulated when the master developer agreement was presented to the public. So this should not have come as a surprise to anyone.
Agreed.
Counselor Howard, thank you so much for all that you and your office do. You do a fantastic job.
I thank you very much for that.
Thank you for
It's a shame
stating
that-
it the way you did, very succinctly, to let people know exactly what this was, just the next step in an agreement.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say this, it's a shame that you have to come and explain this after it has been public, to your point, we've gone over this. Every agreement has been gone over to the town board publicly, and here we are.
Yeah, and just generally, I don't mind explaining things. I'm a lawyer, that's what I do. I prefer to do that. I prefer not to do it under these kind of circumstances, but it is what it is.
Did anybody contact you before any articles were written about that, to ask your opinion?
No.
That would have been a good idea.
Absolutely.
So much for research on their behalf. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that